Welcome, I'm Simon Calder, the host of Back to the City Minneapolis Music Conversation, and this is the Back to the City Sessions Season 1. Every week, with the Minnehaha Recording Company, we'll be recording a live set of 3 songs from an exciting Twin Cities act, and then I'll be talking with them in the duplex about those songs and about what they have on the horizon. In Season 1, we'll have Larry Wish and his guys, GHOSTMOUTH, Products, Neon Black, LPF, Finesse, Battle Rat, The Stress of Her Regard, Humbird, and Charlie Parr. And that will take us through to the new year. With me in the duplex today, I have Sean Levine from GHOSTMOUTH. Let's begin every episode as we do, going to the Minnehaha Recording Company. Here's the full band GHOSTMOUTH performing Peeled.
I try to be as blunt as I can possibly be. Sometimes all these obstructions just don't feel quite like me. I'm trying to be the best friend I can possibly be, but it feels like you all see right through me. Brain cannot exist without my body. My heart won't be alive without blood to bleed. Sometimes I have to focus on what to be, and everything else becomes blurry. My face is just a mirror of how I feel. So if I'm never looking at it, then why can't it be peeled? I wonder how words can hurt and heal when no one seems to listen. If I carve the word care on my body, would people believe I did? Then instead of asking me, they can read it off my skin. Say you know you can see who you wanna see, and I'll keep trying to be the best friend I can possibly be. I cannot put agendas on human beings, even though sometimes I want to.
So that was Peeled. Welcome back, Sean.
Thank
Welcome
you.
to the duplex.
Yeah, thanks.
The peeling happens to a face. So the full lyric is, my face is just a mirror of how I feel. So if I'm never looking at it, then why can't it be peeled?
That's what I said.
Why is the song called Peeled, and why can't the face be peeled?
I've always been really like hyper obsessive over how trippy it is that the people we interact with have this like perception of our personalities that's based entirely on their projection of what their insecurities might be in like a social interaction.
Sure.
And they project that on like a face that they memorize. The whole album's essentially about relationships. So I have a self and you have a self and we have a certain relationship, you know?
Yeah.
But the difference between your relationship, mine and your relationship, and mine and my mom's relationship, you could break it down into a system of experiences, a system of your experiences and how you project your experiences onto me and vice versa.
Yep.
And similar with my mom, you know?
Yeah.
And I don't think you've ever met my mom. Have you met my mom?
I don't think so. I don't have a relationship with her.
One day. You can create that kind of attachment to anyone. You make this conscious decision where it's like, I'm going to decide to care about this person.
Okay, there's this kind of skepticism about that relationship forming, but
Sure.
there's also like a commitment to people and to love.
One of the like key like eureka moments I had in like the thought process of that last record was looking in a mirror and realizing that my face doesn't look like I thought it did. The entire like lyrical thought process of Grow was supposed to take place entirely while I was looking at the mirrors. Like I never leave the mirror, essentially.
Okay. And whereas in this one, you never leave the bed.
I never leave the bed, yep.
Yeah. In multiple senses, you never leave the bed.
Yep.
What are the multiple senses?
In multiple senses, yeah. I recorded the whole album in bed. I wrote the whole album in bed. Grow I recorded in like 2 weeks, but Glow took a while. I took a really long time mixing it. I just like remixed it a million times.
So a lot of the writing was quick there.
Oh yeah, it took 2 hours to write.
Yeah.
I literally wrote the album in 2 hours. I wrote way more. I wrote 18 songs actually. There's this tiny little room in the basement and literally nothing but my bed fit in there. Like I had no floor. My dresser fit in there, but like the bottom 2 drawers couldn't open because like it was so tiny. So I literally was forced to record the whole thing in bed. I call it my adult crib because I had no floor. Yeah.
All the movies in my head have stopped, and here I am just waking up.
So now we can hear the song Soundtrack. The soundtrack to our conversation is now the opening track to the record. We're in the bed, here I am just waking up.
Yeah.
Was that the first song that you wrote between 5 and 7 in the morning on November 2nd?
That was one of the first songs I wrote on the album, and probably the only one I didn't write on guitar. I wrote it like a little keyboard that has like a Wurlitzer sound on it. My last album, Grow, had a very movie-specific cinematic quality. You know, I had a sister growing up, and like every little girl from New Jersey and New York, it's all their dreams are Broadway. My parents took us to a lot of like those musicals when I was growing up.
All the movies in my head are gone, but there's still soundtrack going on.
On this album, I kind of took the approach where like, man, I don't feel like a movie, and I don't feel like I'm in a movie. Like the movie's like over. The movie has completely stopped, and I'm just waking up. But yeah, like there's still music going on. I'm still right here. I am still writing music. I had this moment that came to me in the bathroom, of course, where I like realized a lot of the things that I think might be wrong with the people in my life or just in like the world in general are probably just projections of what I think is wrong with myself.
The record is called Glow, of course. You highlighted on the release day that it's about how we think light is for us, but really it shines even when no one's looking at it.
Doing what lights do, you know?
So these lights, they are for us. We turn them on.
Well, you turn them on, but let's say you're taking water and you're trying to make it go in a certain direction. You have to work with water. You can't just like be like, yo, water, this is how you're gonna function from now on. Same concept with light. Like, yeah, we're turning lights on, but we're working on their rules. Light doesn't care about us. You know, it's not, the sun isn't growing things around it because it cares about the earth. It's doing it because that's what it does.
It's the sun.
And humans put a lot of their anxiety into their sense of purpose. Everyone's always stressing out about like making art and, you know, am I doing enough art? Am I doing enough this? Am I doing, you know, whatever. It's you know, it's like light, man. It's just gonna just keep doing what lights do.
Right.
You know?
Growing and glowing. What's the difference between growing and glowing?
Yeah, they're related metaphors. That was very purposeful. I mean, the title of my next album is going to be My Heart's an Ocean, which I did accidentally make a reference to in this song, Mirror of the Sun.
Yeah.
What's the relationship between glowing and growing? I don't know, the sun's glowing and making things grow.
My face looks
One thing that I realized after making this album is that I've been really obsessed with getting rid of my face in music, and a lot of the albums about that. I've been talking about that for 2 albums now. I became really obsessive on this album with like the fleeting flash of expression is what I called it. That's what I was so hooked on it, like the fleeting flash of expression on someone's face
like
when they're reacting to something.
Yeah.
And like that's really the truest window we have into like the honest feelings of another person is what I can make your face do.
Okay.
Like, because you can decide to say whatever you want. Like, yeah, we're improvising conversationally, and like you might just blurt something and I could get a lot out of that.
Sure.
But you can control how I perceive your personality through what you say to me. But you can't hide your facial reactions unless you're good at poker.
Yeah. I'm thinking a lot about what my face is doing.
Yeah, no, you should, man.
Yeah.
You should.
I'm also thinking about what your face is doing in Mirror of the Sun. The sky's getting dimmer, but my
Hiding
face
it.
looks bigger.
So this song's a little more literal than the others too. I mean, I literally I lived by a river and I walked down there and like threw a rock at my face, I think, in the water, and just kind of drifted apart.
Yeah, interesting.
This song was like very much like lyrically helps set up things, but it doesn't go into too much detail, and it's very open and airy, I feel.
Yeah.
It doesn't say that much. But yeah, I mean, essentially what happens is I walk down to the river, throw a rock at my face, or at my heart, I guess, and but my face dissipates when the water starts to move.
Yeah.
And
that's literally
but I realized that as it dissipates and starts to disappear, it's actually expanding. I realized, like, well, what good is hiding my face when whatever image people have of my face is burned into their memory already?
There's a lyric later on about like a dimly lit screen.
Yeah, that was another metaphor I brought in really sparsely, was the look like, it honestly was a reference to like social media.
Yeah, exactly,
Just like looking at like
Facebook.
Yeah, like a lot. I started to realize like the more popular or whatever, like amount of fans I get, the more I get like really awkward Facebook interactions where like people I maybe have met once at the Kitty Cat Club or like don't really get that I just kind of like to talk shit on everyone and joke around a lot, and so they get like, they're in on the jokes and they're like, oh yeah, this is so funny, he's trashing on people, and then like they say something stupid and I trash on them, and then they're like, their sensitivity just explodes and like, oh my god, I thought I was one of the good human beings. It's like, nope, there are none. Everyone's subject. My best friends, my mom, trash my mom all day.
You trash your best friends in the album.
I do. I trash all my best friends. I trash myself too, but I really lay it hard on my friends. Yeah.
Yep. They're insecure.
Yeah, they're insecure as fuck, man.
I know your friends.
You know a lot of my friends.
Yeah, I'm learning about
Some of them are great. Well, all of them are great. I mean, that's what I say. All of them are great.
Yeah.
Yeah, but they're super insecure. Yeah, I mean, some of them less than others, but
yeah.
Mm-hmm.
It's
really interesting to me watching my friends' insecurities play out in their like lives. Sometimes it can be sad, but usually it's a good thing for them.
Because it's not leading to tragedy for the most part.
For the most part, yeah.
I'm a candle in a dim lit house. I could burn 8 days before I go out.
Yeah, I'm not the sun, but a candle in a dim lit house. So we've got...
It's a menorah reference, actually.
Okay, can you expand on that?
Well, I'm Jewish, and there aren't a lot of good lyrics about being Jewish. So I think I really hit one though. I got a really good one. I don't know. I've never listened to Modest Yahoo. I'm sure he's got some fine ones. But yeah, I think it's really interesting, like the story about it, that like, you know, the Greeks destroyed the menorah or the temple, and they only had enough oil to last for 1 day, but it burned for 8. That's a pretty powerful image of like, wow, we had enough oil to burn for 1 day, but it burned for 8. And I guess
I'm going to blow longer than you might expect me to.
Yeah, or even the opposite, because I mean, like looking back at it, it's like, well, man, yeah, that's amazing, what a miracle. But you know, before the Greeks attacked, like, we had enough oil for like a lot more than 8 days. Like, there's still that looming over in my opinion. It's like, I guess I feel like a Jew. I feel like a candle. I could burn 8 days and then go out. And go out also carries the double meaning of leaving the house.
Or the bed.
Yeah, or the bed.
Yeah. Right now, we've arrived at Sean Connery, which is the 4th song on the record.
There's a lot of interesting things about this one.
Yeah, let's recognize a few of those, and then we'll see and hear you performing it at the Minnehaha Recording Company. What's immediately evident is you're called Sean, the song's called Sean Connery, it's got the recurring refrain, if you name your child for me, name him after your favorite actor. Your grandfather had diabetes.
My grandpa died, and it was my dad's dad. And he died right before I was born, which is
Right
kind of
before you were
alluded to in the lyrics. Well, yeah, like a year maybe.
Yeah.
Essentially, my parents wanted to name me after my dead grandfather, but his name was Seymour, so they didn't want to be dicks. So they, I actually wish they had named me Seymour because he went by Cy, and I think that's a pretty tight name.
Oh,
and I think Seymour's cool. It kind of sounds like a Batman villain, you know?
Yeah.
My grandpa died, and they didn't want to name me Seymour because that name was kind of going out of style. And so they named me after my dad's favorite actor, which I kind of realized right around the time I was making this record, like how interesting that is. I was going through a lot of anxiety about specifically that at that time, and I had this really strange dream, which is alluded to in the second verse, and that actually predated the whole album. I had it like a month or two before. I was driving down a street in Minneapolis called Broadway Street, and I was right about where these there's all these chain-linked fence parking, like that leads to these parking lots and stuff for who knows what, and I turned into one of them. It was one of those fences that has two like gateways and then leads to the parking lot. So it's like one gate can open and then the other gate can open or close, and then there's like the actual parking lot.
Yeah.
And so I drove past the first gate, which was open, and it closed shut behind me. And then all of a sudden I wasn't on a, you know how dreams work, I wasn't in a car anymore, I was on a bike. So I thought that was important. But so then the second gate, I got off my bike and walked up to the second gate. And the second gate, I couldn't get it open. I walked back to the first gate, which had closed shut behind me, and I couldn't get it open, and it was nighttime. And I look out onto the road past the first gate, and I see a wolf just standing in the middle of the street. And I know the wolf is going to be able to just pass straight through the fence, and then it did. And so it passes through the fence, and it gets really close to me, and I feel this initial like twinge of like instinctual fear that like you would probably feel if a wolf was all up in your business. But then I just knew, like I knew it was gonna be able to pass, with the same assurance that I knew it was gonna be able to pass through the fence, I knew it wasn't gonna hurt me, and I just stood there staring like right at my face, and I woke up. Still analyzing that dream. I only figured out one thing about the dream. Well, probably figured out more, but I only know one thing for sure.
What is that thing?
It's in the lyrics of the last track on the album. It's that I am the wolf.
You're the wolf?
I'm the wolf.
So you're looking yourself?
I have to be the wolf.
Why? How do you know that you're the wolf?
Well, it's my dream. I have to be the wolf. I mean, I concocted the wolf, you know? I mean, and I'm pretty sure I'm the wolf. That's what I'm very sure. Don't. It's my dream, man. Don't contradict what I'm thinking about my dream. I'm the wolf. All right, dude. You think you're the wolf? You think you're the wolf, dog?
I'm looking at you.
All right. Yeah. Stay the fuck out of my dream, man.
So if you're the
Thanks
wolf,
for the album, though.
Does that mean are you relating primarily to the wolfness of the wolf, or to the
I'm
gravity?
still figuring all that out. I know that I'm the wolf. That's all I know.
Because the wolf conquers mass and gravity. That's
he conquered. You conquered mass and gravity in the lyrics. Yeah, I mean that's I guess kind of a reference, just being able to pass through the wall. It's like well, I assume like, oh man, you must be really good at like the whole gravity and like mass thing if you figured out how to if you could just do that either on command or like your probability aligned. You got it going on, wolf.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, will Sean conquer mass and gravity himself?
Let's find out next time.
Find out after the middle of the episode. So now we're going to experience Sean Connery, the whole band, performing it at the Minnehaha Recording Company. Yeah. And then we'll be back to talk about the second half of the record.
Tight.
Okay, so this is Sean Connery by GHOSTMOUTH at the Minnehaha Recording Company.
My grandfather had diabetes. He died before he got to meet me. My parents say he would have loved me. They say that he died horribly. A wolf came to me in a dreaming. It conquered mass and gravity, passed through a wall and looked at me. I I wanna glow, I don't know how.
Here we are back in the duplex, and now in the background we can hear the single. We're actually going to close the show with the in-studio performance of this, Listening. I can hear you up there now. I want to glow, I don't know how is how it begins.
Yeah, I don't know. Do you know how to glow?
Well, it depends whether we're talking metaphorically.
And if you have to consciously think about glowing, you're probably not glowing. You're not
Right.
doing it like a light anyway. I don't think lights are thinking about glowing. I mean, so essentially I'm locked in a room by myself. So
Yeah.
I'm not, at the very least, I might be emitting light, but no one's noticing the glow.
You're in this specific room where you wrote
I'm not glowing for anything.
the record.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I was in the room. Yeah.
Yeah.
Actually, when I wrote this song, this was actually, interestingly enough, was the one song I think I didn't write in that initial 2 hours. I wrote it the next day.
Okay.
I was hanging out with like all of my friends in
Or
my
your
house.
insecure friends.
Yeah, all my insecure friends. I just wasn't feeling it. Wasn't feeling the hang. Wasn't like feeling right. Felt like really, guess I felt insecure. And I went downstairs and I was just like thinking, they have no visual representation of me right now, but I wonder if they can hear me. It was once again kind of literal, I guess.
So because you were a songwriter.
Yeah, I was writing that song.
This song?
And like once again, like much like the rest of the songs that came out in those 2 hours, it came out like fully formed, lyrics and all, like on first. Like and I'm a vicious editor of my lyrics, but I barely edited this album. This album kind of all came out really fast. Weirdly enough, the album's all about lights and seeing, but it's music. There's not really any seeing necessarily involved. So I think that juxtaposition was something that I liked playing with a lot on the record, and Listening was kind of the epitome of that.
Yeah, it's called Listening. Yeah. So we're listening to and can't escape the sound of love earlier.
It's almost like we're only using our, like metaphorically, we're only using our eyes when we judge another person. It's like, use your ears, man. Gotta train your ears. And that's kind of a big part of the personal concept of the record that I've kind of hit an epiphany recently with, is that I've always been really obsessed with not showing my face. I think one time I sent...
This must be a horrible experience for you.
I always have like certain songs that kind of tell a little bit more than the rest in the record, and that's definitely one of them.
It's called Wooden People. We are wooden people. We're carved.
Yeah,
and
we're carving each other. Yeah, we're carving, we're carved.
We're all wooden people walking by. Our experiences carve little nicks into our hides.
What happens to you shapes who you are. Your moral compass can like try to deviate from what your experiences are, but they're always going to inform each other.
We hold on to those scars until we die. So within this metaphor, is every experience a
No,
scar?
obviously not. But I guess essentially maybe. I mean, because it's leaving a mark on your like frame.
So some scars
But
are...
good scars, man.
Yeah.
You know? It's like, oh yeah, I love that injury. That was a great injury. That was a great wound.
And we carry these scars until we die and then carve them into others. So there's this
that's the
cycle.
interesting thing, is that a lot of what's projected upon us isn't necessarily our experiences. It's someone else's experiences that they've like kind of imposed upon you. And that's what friends do to each other.
Yeah.
You're kind of carving your own experiences into someone else.
Giving them intentionally or
unintentionally.
a sense of their identity.
Whether or not we try.
Casting them as in a certain role. Yeah. So if people are carving too deep, is that when there's...
It's when you get to see the light.
When you get...
And then you can decide how you feel about the light, because until that moment, you're just looking at someone's surface.
Okay.
But you're carving and you're scratching into them, and then maybe one day you just go a little too deep, and you're like, oh my God, there's the light. And you're either gonna think, wow, that's a beautiful light, or you're gonna think, oh, that light's kind of bright. And I personally actually am hypersensitive to bright lights. I don't like bright lights.
Metaphorical bright lights?
No, literal bright lights. Don't like them.
You don't like your face being seen, you don't like bright lights.
I don't like bright lights.
So,
They're kind of, yeah.
Here we go.
Here we
All
are.
the things that you don't like at once.
Yeah. Your face is very nice, Simon.
Oh, thank you very much. That's very kind.
Yeah.
Thank you. The
Now
light.
you think something. You think I'm kind now.
Yeah, well, what was my facial reaction
Yeah,
to
that's
that?
the thing. I said your face was nice, but, you know. Yeah.
At this point in the record, we're at Peeled, which was our starting point for the episode. I'll try to be as blunt. That's interesting because there's been the metaphor of carving just previously.
Yeah, oh yeah, you
so
can't be. I never even thought of that one. You got me on that one.
Yeah.
I literally thought about my bluntness, but
Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah, you can be blunt.
It's really interesting. It's the trick of the trade, man.
Yeah.
New York Jews, man, we're blunt people. Some people really don't like us for that.
Others do.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Seinfeld fans.
Yeah.
Tune in, dog. The most important takeaway from this song's lyrics to me is that, like, I'm constantly talking to people, and, like, the effort that I can put into projecting any kind of image of myself that I might want is immediately seen through. Whereas a lot of people, I think, really build up this image that they present to people. I've always thought, like, well, it's all bullshit. They can all see through it. Like, everyone knows that it's all bullshit.
The attempt to come across it.
The attempt to have a self, I guess. I was actually a really quiet kid growing up, and I never really had the same, like, intense sense of self that I think everyone else had.
Yeah.
It seems like my personality is really just like a product of a bunch of different people deciding different things about me, and it could change depending on where I am and who I'm around. Over in New Jersey, everyone thought I was like super nice and like quiet and shy, and out here it's like, oh my god, he's obnoxious and loud. And like, yeah. It's like, well, maybe there's just like, maybe you guys are all really quiet and shy. Like,
our identities are constructed and false. Yeah. So you feel that you and we all are not what we identify as, to some extent.
Yeah.
And so you're not kind of trying to be that. You feel like
I'm trying to not project anything on myself, even.
Yeah.
Like, because we're talking about like people projecting on other people, but we also project these things onto ourselves, and I try to not do that. Samantha is actually my sister's widow.
It's hard for me to look Samantha in the eye.
Is this song dedicated to Samantha then?
Yeah, sure.
Yeah.
I mean, yeah.
It's interesting that at other moments you've been, turns out, looking yourself in the eye, whether it's your reflection in the water or whether it's the wolf that turns out to be you.
Yeah. Interesting. It's a great point, Simon.
Yeah. Thank you.
Now I can't look her in the eye, though.
Yeah.
It's hard for me to look her in the eye. Specifically, the song examines what I'm afraid of when I look her in the eye. You know, because I guess the background of my relationship with Samantha is that my sister married her towards the end of her life, and I was living here, and my sister was living in New Jersey. I didn't really get that many chances to meet Samantha before my sister died. And so it's always kind of like we kind of are almost playing this weird catch-up relationship where it's like my sister's dead but she's still a part of my family, you know?
Yeah, absolutely.
And so we're like, but I mean we've always gotten along really well and we've been really close, but it's like hard to make that like complete openness that I know my sister would want me to have with Samantha.
Wow.
And what specifically I unveil is scaring me is the fact that her love not dying is really something that trips me out.
Because that's what you see when you do look her in the eye. You see love that never dies.
It's a big part of what hangs on to our like importance of our relationships with others is love dying or not dying. I think it's very important that on this track I give myself permission to feel fear, because you'll never be able to get like entirely escape fear.
Yeah.
I at least decide to stop beating myself up over my own fear, especially this specific fear of like love that never dies.
Yeah, and there's something that you have to do, you know, the final two words are for me.
Yeah.
So the song is kind of for Samantha, but it's also for you.
All our relationships are for us.
The rest of the song would seem to suggest, you know, I need to be there for this person. So that's just a really interesting, unexpected emphasis at the end that I need to do this for me.
Yeah.
Yeah. Why does this song come near the end of the record, right before I'm Not Myself, which could have been the title track?
It just feels like it leads up to it so much. I don't know. That I feel like the flow is pretty consistent.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I Am Not Myself essentially like is where it really dives into everything. It's like the gloves are off now. I'm gonna go into detail.
Something about the way we die makes it hard to be alive.
I Am Not Myself, definitely the boxing gloves are on for that one for sure.
Something about the way we die makes it hard to be alive. We had right from Selfish, you know, I'm a candle in a dim lit house, I could burn 8 days before I go out. So this idea of like the way we die is introduced back then.
Yeah, I think we have a really important position on what we accomplished during our life because of our knowledge of our death. That's essentially all that means.
Yes. Yeah. The previous record you referred to is a pretty uplifting album about death. Grow is about death and meaning, and existence and non-existence, and how they, you said before, how they pull at each other but aren't really enemies. How is mortality being explored in a different way, or is it?
Yeah, it's different. I mean, I feel like emotionally speaking, this one brings you down before it brings you up.
We haven't talked that much because of my focus on the lyrics about how the songs sound. So what's the significance of like the sonic journey?
Yeah, similarly, I mean, I Am Not Myself is definitely like a little more, it's one of the more indie rock sounding tracks of the album as opposed to the rest, which kind of are either like folkier or kind of showcase a little more of my classic rock influence or something like that. I always said when I was making this record that if any of my heroes, quote unquote, ever heard this album or any of my music, I'd want them to be really unsure as to whether or not I was like shouting out my influence to them or kind of making fun of them. So musically, that's kind of where I was coming out. I was trying to not be afraid to have like motifically like very cheesy things or like anything that might be seen as that. I was like trying to like conquer the fear of certain fear that I feel like a lot of musicians have these days. But on this record, it's very much an in-between in that way because I feel like I'm leading up to breaking a barrier, and which is why I Am Not Myself is also musically an important song because there's a big guitar solo in it. And it's really tight. I jokingly used to call this song my Stairway to Heaven because it's like long and there's a really epic guitar solo and it kind of starts to rock out at that point. But otherwise the song's super low and like timid.
So more kind of conventional and palatable insofar as it has these conventions. It's anticipating the shredding that's to come.
Sure. Yeah, I mean, I've been hiding, you know, I think a lot of guitar players these days, a lot of musicians in general are hiding what they can do. I think that's common because the kind of perception of a musician's changed. Back in the day, it was like, oh my God, we can hear this stuff for the first time. I think a lot of people's knowledge of music history is very minimal, but I've always thought it was really interesting that essentially the 50s and 60s and 70s, it was like, here's these new sounds, we can finally record, we can finally make it sound good now. Like, we can do 2 speakers instead of 1, whoa. 8 tracks, that's fucking crazy, man. And like, so there was this great appreciation for everything that was going on, and like musicality exploded. Punk kind of came as a reaction to that, but then at the same time, disco hit, and for the first time, you could perform live without having ever learned an instrument. Now it's become like trendy to not be good, which is fine. Some like, I love Bob Dylan. Most musicians love Bob Dylan and like Iggy Pop. And people who aren't necessarily like virtuosos, but they have their character shines through in their music. But a lot of what's going on nowadays is like being good at guitar is cheesy. Being good at singing is cheesy. Like only if you suck at it. Like, you know, there's
it's an easy opinion to have.
Exactly. It's actually kind of freeing though, because now a new way to find originality is to work back towards including more of yourself once again in your music. And this is a lyrical topic about the music, which I do throw into my songs a lot, is that like, well, here's something that I've kind of hidden. Here's something, and I think a guitar solo appearing in I Am Not Myself. I think a lot of Twin Cities people don't know this about me, but all my friends back in New Jersey and New York would know like, oh, he's doing a solo again. Like my music used to be all guitar solos, and then it hit this point where it's like, oh, people don't like that. And now I'm kind of slowly starting to reintroduce it back.
There's like a Bildungsroman kind of feel to the record where you have like a character and it's like their story, especially in Samantha giving oneself a challenge. But then in the song where musically you're kind of like glowing and like doing what you can do.
Yeah, and that's my childhood. I just kept to myself and played guitar while my parents kind of yelled at my sister for like doing crazy shit.
Yeah.
You know?
You become yourself, but then in a song called I Am Not Myself, why is there that incongruity?
Well, the song kind of explores people's attachment to me and like how I'm their self, kind of. And essentially it's like, well, how can I attempt to help you with something if I'm yours? If my entire existence is based on you and not mine.
Yeah.
If my existence is for you, how can you expect me to be able to accomplish anything at all?
Right. If I'm your son, boyfriend, friend.
Light, whatever. So maybe that's why Light's never get anything done, man. The sun's getting some stuff done. What are you guys doing? You know?
They're my lights.
They're your lights, yeah, man. You're holding them back. That's what you're doing.
Sorry, Sorry, The bug is flying towards the light in this song, and we are the bugs, and we're the bugs insofar as we want a knife to carve the perfect man or what.
Yeah, I think that's my summation of like romantic relationships. Yeah. Everybody wants a knife so they can carve the perfect man or wife. You can train yourself to love a lie, like a bug flying towards the light. Like, yeah, I mean, why do bugs fly towards the light? They like it. They really like it. They don't know why, but they're attracted to it. And it kills them.
Yeah,
you know?
Right.
I think that's just not necessarily that love will kill you. Could, but the sense of like just hopelessly and without any reason choosing to careen towards like bugs. I don't think anything about the light is chemically forcing them to go there. You know, and bugs make that choice to go towards something that they have no reason to go towards, and they die.
Yeah.
Then how can I be helped by anyone else?
One of the things that I realized after making this is like, man, I gotta show my face. People freak out about musicians when they see their faces. It's an unfortunate fact, but it's the case, you know? That's how it is. That's just how it goes. They need to see the person. They need to attach the music to what they think about the person. Yeah. And like all that crap, it's complete crap. But it's like you'd be stupid. It's a marketing tool. That's all it is. I mean, you don't even have to play the instrument, man. The monkeys, dog. You don't even have to do it. It's just all perception.
Yeah. So here you are, showing your face.
Yeah, I'm here. I actually have, I've avoided showing my face. I've put other band members, like they were the solo artist. Like I think there's one of our band photos, just Patrick playing keys.
Nice. Yeah. Are you going to be involved in the editing of this? Imposing faces.
Oh yeah, that'd be great, man. Throw some faces.
You took the first band photo you'd had in a very long time.
Yeah, a long time.
In the Mini Haha recording company, to which we will be returning in about 5 minutes to close the show.
A part of you will always be me.
So there are two sentences that begin, if I'm not myself and if I'm not myself. And the first one goes, if I'm not myself, then how can I be of help to anyone else? And the second one goes, if I am not myself, then how can I be helped by anyone else?
Both true.
Yeah. Are they different sides of the same coin, or?
I think they both just kind of refer to what I preceded by talking about. Like before I can't be of help to anyone else. I'm talking about my parents needing me to be their light. I think this lyric is the one that made me decide to make it the title track. Is my parents need me to be their light, but I've been glowing all my life. You know, on my entire life I've been glowing, and like, oh, well, if they need me now, it's like, well, I don't glow for them. I glow for when I just doing what I do. I've been doing this my whole life.
So you said that the sound of love, the final track, that is referred to in the opening track, insofar as I can't escape the sound of love, is the lyric at the beginning.
Interesting enough, that instrumental part is specifically what I had initially titled The Sound of Love, that instrumental part in the middle. So I was the best man at my best friend Sam, not to be confused with Samantha's, wedding. And I was the best man, but also they didn't hire anyone to play music, so I had to play guitar while being the best man. And so hilariously, when they all had to get up as the wedding was over and walk away, I had to stay there. The best man just stayed there playing guitar, watching them walk away, and that little instrumental part was what I played as they all walked away.
You wrote it for that?
No, I actually wrote it once again in that house I was living in where I had the adult crib where I didn't have a floor. I wrote it just while all my roommates were sleeping. They were all just sleeping on the couch, and I was like, oh man, there's so much more peaceful and innocent this way. I can't associate anything bad with them when they're doing this. And so I just played that. I would just love, and for the next couple of weeks or something, I would just they would be sleeping on the couch, and I would just play that song.
Okay. Yeah. That's the sound of love.
Maybe, yeah, sure.
Yeah. Don't stop
That's
walking.
what the title says.
Yeah, that is what. Yeah, I like how we're still in the same bedroom. I guess I'll just stay here and sleep.
Yeah. I wake up from the dream, have all these thoughts, and at the end of the album decide, well,
just go back.
Just gonna keep laying back. Yeah, don't feel like getting up. Yeah.
Sometimes light just shines. It doesn't shine for
thinking of lights disappearing, the candle, back to that metaphor of the candle and going out. Before we go out, the closing lyrics, still thinking about sometimes light just shining, then it'll shine for eternity unless the sun explodes.
Well, there's still gonna be light, though.
There's still be light.
Sun's not the last light.
Yeah, there's other suns. Yeah.
That's just the light that you think is most important, man.
From my true...
Look at how accurate my criticisms are, dog.
Right. Yeah, exactly, yeah. Yeah. It'll shine for eternity. Glowing will always happen.
Yeah, I mean, presumably, I guess. We don't know. That's one thing we don't know for a fact, but...
And I'll shine eventually.
I did kind of turn this one over in my head a lot because it does kind of almost not break the metaphor, but it kind of deviates a little bit. But I kind of put like a little bit of a different emphasis on the word shine as opposed to glow. Oh. So like, glowing is kind of like what I do when you were always glowing. Glowing can be like a soft light. Yeah. But to me, like shining is like, oh my God, there's that light.
Yeah.
But I mean, lights also shine constantly. Yeah, but they're like,
just wait until you're shredding. Then you'll be shining. Next time.
That's what I'm saying, dog. That's what I'm saying, man. Yep. Yeah.
There isn't any shredding in listening, which we are about to close the episode with as we return one last time.
Shred free.
Shred free.
But not the way to be.
Is there?
What's that?
Is there shining in it?
No, only listening. I'm not glowing. I mean, I don't know what you mean, I guess.
Yeah. I can mean whatever you want me to.
Me too.
So listening, we're back in the center of the records. I'm excited that you were at the end of the process of creating the next one. And hopefully we can...
Close enough to it anyway.
Yeah, we can have a long conversation about the ocean.
Up, dog. Yeah, that's...
In the future.
Oh yeah. So you got the growth, you've got the light. It's one more thing, man.
Possibly just one more.
Yeah,
probably.
Who knows? Yeah, I'll find some others.
The trilogy might become more than a trilogy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Sure.
But in the meantime, we've reached the end of the episode.
Everyone loves trilogies.
Yeah. Lord of the Rings, everything.
Star Wars, man, there's like 9 trilogies now. It's going to be a new Star Wars movie every year till the day I die.
Yes, true. And many more GHOSTMOUTH records. There's going to be a Back to the City every week until my candle goes out. And next week we'll have products, which I'm excited about.
Yeah, Al's band.
Yeah, Al's new band. Yeah, with Joe and Jack and Connor. So that's going to be the next time. What up, Connor? But yeah, in the meantime, GHOSTMOUTH at the Mini Haha Recording Company, performing to close today's episode. Listening. Thanks very much, Sean.
Yeah, thanks for having me, man.
You're very welcome. This is Listening by GHOSTMOUTH.
I can hear you up there now. I wanna glow, I don't know how. Everything is better now that I'm downstairs. Everything is surface ground, but below the earth there still is sound. I hope you're feeling better now that there are walls